Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode. Actually, this is the beginning of our new season, which is very exciting. Season 2 of Things I Wish I Knew About. And today we have a very special guest, Lynn Harris, from Comedy Gold. Is that what you call the company?
Gold comedy. So
Gold
close.
Comedy.
Yes.
It is Comedy Gold. Gold Comedy is good, though. That's a good play
hmm
on words.
Thank you.
So Lynn and I are going to I don't know what we're going to call this episode, actually. Things I guess I wish I knew about Gold Comedy and all the
Or
things,
comedy.
comedy in
Just
general.
comedy. Yeah.
I love comedy. So let's just do like a little brief overview of kind of who you are and kind of like, let's start there. Who are you? Who are you, Lynn?
I came here to find out, Stacey. I don't know. My name is Lynn Harris, and I
Okay.
am the founder of Gold Comedy, since
Yep.
you nicely mentioned it,
Yes.
which is the comedy school and professional network and content studio where women and non-binary creators and others can build comedy careers and creative side hustles, be part of a powerful community, and make funny stuff that gets seen on all types of stages and screens.
What a dream. That is like,
Thanks.
I
Yeah.
love comedy.
Great.
That is my jam. That is what I do. So that
Well,
is
I've
very
come to the
exciting.
right place. What kind of comedy do you like?
That's a good question. So for me personally, I have grown up always hearing, "You're so funny, Stacey." It's trauma, really, but you're so funny. You've turned it into humor, and it's as I've grown, it's kind of been this, which is probably where you come in, and we'll definitely talk about that. It's like, how do you, for a better words, monetize on that? Like if I could go back in time, if I knew it was even a possibility, I would have probably gone to Second City. I would have, slept outside of 30 Rock to try to write for SNL, something like that in
Yes.
hindsight, right?
Yep.
But as I grew up, it was like you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer. It kind of wasn't in the grand scheme of things. But
Yep.
now there's a world that is opened up of, kind of
Yes.
comedy jobs or things that you can create for yourself within that vein. So that's what I do I guess as a brand or a personality. I kind of bring humor to cooking and parenting and all that kind of stuff for me personally. But how did you get your start? Let's go back.
Yeah, I'd love to go back, but I also want to just like pluck out a few things that you said, which are, you're so right about everything you said. You're so right that not just for yourself, but that first of all, there are many ways to not just be funny, but use that in your life
Mhm.
to your benefit and advantage professionally and personally, without like quitting it all and becoming the next Tiffany Haddish, and even just like even in kind of straightforward ways, 4 to 5 customers want their brands to be funny.
Right.
Someone's got to write that copy, and your brand is, so that's why you made your brand funny in your own authentic way. So not like, oh, now I got to learn to be a jokester. It's not that. It's how can you tap into your natural style, even if it's quiet, even if it's off, whatever it is, to dig into that, and it's never too late. And we can also talk about comedy and trauma later if you want to. I'm just putting a little push pin in that one, but a little thumbtack on that one. But my things are comedy and also writing. I was a journalist for 100 years.
That's very
And
serious usually,
yeah,
right? Journalism can be a
uh,
very serious
yes,
career.
but good question, because what I was able to do over time, and this is like my other big thing, is social justice and just, advocacy and making the world a better place. That's not unique to me, but many of us are, many people's things.
Well, it's
But
admirable.
yeah, well, yeah. But what 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 has been emerging for and really kind of created a thing unto itself for a long time is what those things look like when you put them together: comedy and making the world a better place.
Right.
And whether it's directly comedy about social issues, sure, or whether it's using comedy in some way
Yeah.
to connect with people in a way that some other type, more serious, let's say, type of communication would be less effective.
Right.
And so, and I can tell you, all sorts of examples, all sorts of things I've done and other people have done.
Sure.
But for me, even when I was a journalist, I worked at it hard long enough and got to enough success where my own brand became being able to appropriately bring in humor to, around issues that themselves are not at all funny. Gender-based violence, not at all funny. Abortion, not itself funny. Being able to figure out, well, what part of this is fair game? What part of this is actually funny? Are we making fun of the bad thing, or are we making fun of the bad things that caused it to come into being? So
Something
can
like
you
kind of
make
like
jokes about
Jon
rape? Not
Stewart.
really. Rape culture, yes.
Right.
So that's and developing that sort of knack and that understanding is important. But I'm digressing. But so I always thought that I always I always did stuff that brought those two things together, whether it was advocacy campaigns or co-creating a comic book character who helped people survive relationship emergencies. That was Breakup Girl, but even that was like a social justice thing because we wanted to change, even though it was a complete comic book universe. We wanted to change not just book but comics universe. We wanted to change the way people talked and thought about relationships and gas a gender binary and get it past like the women complaining about men vibe, and really kind of find a way to transcend all of that through a superhero character who is fun. In any case, and I also did stand up for a long time.
Where
So
did you grow up? Like, where did you, where does the impetus of all this? Like, what's your origin story, Batman?
well, there's a broad one and a specific one. The broad one is just that my parents had, the good enough taste not only to kind of, raise me a feminist and all those things, but also when the TV was on, it was on Carol Burnett, I Love Lucy, The Jeffersons, The Muppet Show, Monty Python, Laugh-In, MASH, The Captain and Tennille, all the
Classics.
variety shows. I'm sure I forgot someone, but and so they it just became, it was the water that I swam in. And my parents were both involved in language to some degree, long story. And so I was drawn toward humor and I was drawn toward writing. I was also a theater nerd, all that stuff. And that was in Boston. And I eventually moved to New York to pursue more of the journalism and comedy. And then as I kept kind of braiding these things together in different ways, very long story, landed on just what if we could just make it more normal for women to be comedians, that it's not like, okay, men are the comics and women are women comics,
Right? Oh
what
my
if,
God. Across
don't
the
get me started,
board. It's like
across the board,
it's literally, it's like a women, like the WNBA. It just can't, it's women's this. Men are always drives me
the
nuts.
norm. Yeah. Love the WNBA, by the way, but anyway, but my kid's going to a game tomorrow actually, but
Oh, that's so exciting.
yeah,
You're in the States now? Are you in New York now?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
Liberty game
nice.
tomorrow. But anyway, so I thought, well, what if we could, it's really, in a way, it's really kind of a numbers thing. What if I could help, what if not me, but what if we could help enough individuals get past all of the barriers that still exist, subtle and not subtle, so that they can, really do this comedy thing in all forms, whether it's being a director or producer, whether it's being in development, whether it's being
Right.
in sketch, whether it being a writer's room, stand up, so many things. What if we could help so many people who are not straight white dudes? We love the straight white dudes, by the way, but
Sure.
it's just
I've
in the
birthed two of
aggregate.
them. I've birthed two of them, but they already
Yeah,
have a leg
yeah,
up.
yeah,
They're good.
yeah. But I mean, comedy's hard for everybody, but it's especially hard if you're not one of them. And so,
Yeah.
so what if I could help? What if we could help enough others so that not only are we really helping build careers, which matters in any industry, but what if we build enough people do that, or help enough people do that, such that we get to where a critical mass, such that we no longer say women comic,
Mm,
such that it's not interesting to have a woman do
right. It's
anything
just the
in
norm.
comedy.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, what if we normalize it? And that is good for women. It's good for comedy. It's good for everyone who's not a woman in comedy, honestly. And when you really think about the force that comedy is culturally, it defines power structures and perceptions. So if women and other contribute to a new definition of what comedy is and who has that power, then that's a lot of power. It can actually kind of shift people's notions of who has power and who they should listen to. And that's pretty huge. Now, that's day to day, that's day to day. We're like, how can we help you build your career?
Sorry to interrupt you. But what I'm hearing is you in your company and whoever you work with have kind of created like a scaffolding for people who are trying to enter this world of comedy in whatever kind of form that may be,
Yeah.
whether it's stand up or writing or stage or theater or whatever that is. And then you kind of just assist.
Well, I can tell you really specifically, and also and for sure, it's folks who want to do that, who are, in their, let's say, 20s, who are starting out, and this is what they want to do forever and ever full time. And we also have a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, and beyond
Yeah.
who have achieved a real level of expertise in whatever they're already doing, entertainment related or not, but they have a desire to also do this. Maybe they have more time because they're empty nesters, or maybe
Yeah.
they've always been like, what if I could write that pilot? What
Oh
if
my
I
God.
could
It's like
create
you're
that
speaking to
show?
me. It's like you're speaking to my
I
heart.
had a feeling from when you
I
started.
have honestly, I have
Yeah.
like half of a pilot written about, and it's very like Fleabag and very, and it's just like, what if it's that idea of what if, or people are like, Stacey, why don't you try stand up? I'm like, that is a
Yep.
scary beast. But what if I
What
wrote
if?
a 3 minute set, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's for sure that idea as
Yep.
I've aged that it's like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck not?
Right.
You don't
You have.
have to be 20 anymore, which is so lovely
Yep.
to
And
kind of
now you have
recognize.
arguably more time and sort of fewer F's, to give.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
like what people think about you and whatever.
for
So
sure.
but to say so very specifically, like for example, we have a new class called Finish Your Pilot in 5 weeks,
Oh,
for which you are the exact use
I
case.
am your audience.
Yeah. And we have so to back up a little bit, we have classes,
Hmm.
we have all sorts of we have a speaker series with comedy celebrities and pros. That's weekly. We have a weekly open mic that's super friendly, and also we provide feedback, and it can be for anything you're working on. It doesn't have to be stand up. We have monthly shows with our members, and usually a fun headliner. We have classes and I forgot the most important thing. That's all grounded in a powerful, collaborative, supportive community. Typically, the way people join is by becoming members. So we do it with an annual membership rather than class by class. Typically people stay at least 2 years and keep going, because it's the people. They may come for a certain class that starts on a certain date, and the classes in the membership are included. Take as many classes as you want. You can take a class as many times as you want. People do that for the structure and accountability. And then, the what am I looking? I should know this word because I talk about this all the time, obviously. But the bedrock of the whole
Okay.
thing is the people. And so
Yeah.
you find your collaborators. You find I need a PA. I need a director of photography for my
Right.
sketch. I need who knows a venue that I can do this in. Who has an extra lavalier mic. Whatever it is.
Right. It's just
And
resource. You have access to resource that you wouldn't normally. And sometimes I think you don't even know what you need till you know what you need,
yeah,
especially in a world if I was coming into this, let's say, it's like I went to school for theater. I have a little bit of a background, but as far as like shooting a pilot, I wouldn't know what PA I need, what like art director, all that kind
right.
of stuff. But you would
we
have
would we would have someone who you would either have taken a class that tells you, or you'd be able to partner with people who know how to shoot a proof of concept. Like they would tell you, oh, guess what, Stacey, good news, you don't even have to shoot the whole thing, you can shoot a proof of concept, or you
right.
can make a tone reel. What's a tone reel? Here
Or
you go.
Google that,
Yeah, yeah. So
That's super great. And
yeah,
it's online as well. Like you have
it's
access.
almost entirely online,
Oh,
so
okay. Because I was gonna
that's the
say
nice thing.
I'd love to go to New York. I mean, I normally would love to go to New York. Now it's a little
Mm.
iffy, but I can access all of this stuff online,
Yeah,
which is
almost
lovely.
entirely. Yeah, and that's part of by design also, so that for if you don't live in you shouldn't have to live in, and increasingly you don't, but you shouldn't have to live in New York, LA, Chicago, Boston to pursue these kinds of things. You don't have to, unless you really need to be on stage every night, but you can do that too outside of those big cities. So
For
and
sure.
and get the practice and extra support from us, and then of course you still have to be out there on an actual stage doing things, but we can be the sort of the ecosystem that supports you in doing that as well.
So why was it you alone that kind of started this? Do you have a team and kind of like
Yes.
how did you notice a hole in the market? You're like, I want to do this thing, or how did that
Yeah.
kind of start for you?
Well, I did stand up for a long time,
Yep.
and I will let me stipulate that two things. And I've been in and around comedy for decades, and I will stipulate now that that two conflicting things, two opposing things, directly opposing things are true at the same time. One is that it is so much better. It is unimaginably better than when I did stand up. The other is that it's still terrible. And those are both true at the same time.
For
So
sure.
anytime I cite something terrible, someone can like write a note in your comments, but it's also great. Yes, like everyone's right here. Everyone
Right.
is right.
Right.
So there are more platforms. There are more women in power in entertainment that make good choices. There are writers' rooms are more diverse.
Yeah.
It used to be just the Harvard Lampoon, just
Right.
those guys,
Right. Right. Right.
just them.
And then everything's
And
exactly the same. Like, there's no
right,
diversity there.
right. And it used to be, I mean, I could go on every piece, every part of the industry
Here, yeah.
was gate kept and dominated by dudes, even wonderful dudes, but just en masse, it's a problem. But now all five, or is it four, late night hosts who we love are
Yeah.
straight white dudes. Not
Yeah.
their fault, but like, look at them. I mean, come on, look at them. Come on. We don't need to get rid of them. We just need more,
It's such a tricky thing. Like, remember Lily
yeah,
Singh? I don't know if you know who Lily
yeah,
Singh is. Yeah,
really
she's
saying, yeah,
Canadian, whatever. Tried to kind of break into
yeah,
that market, and it's like it's rough,
yeah,
It's because she
yeah.
can't be the only one, and over here she's an island.
Right. And now people are talking about, is it really actually a problem with the model of late night itself,
Yeah,
which is a separate conversation.
for
But
sure.
you can't deny that, like, for years, it's
Yep,
been, sure, we had Samantha Bee, sure, we had Taylor Tomlinson, we have so many people, Chelsea
I
Handler,
love Taylor
there's so
Tomlinson.
many people that
Yeah,
have kind of like Lily, kind of,
yeah.
and so it may be a challenge with the model, but still, and they're not really good numbers on this, but the last number I had was that 70% of lineups are still stand-up lineups are most stand-up lineups are 70%. Stand-up lineups are 70 up to 70% men, which anecdotally rings true for me. Men are twice as likely to be the funny one in commercials, which is part of it. Amy Schumer is the only woman ever to have made Forbes's top 100 list of highest earning comedians.
Come on, even more than Chelsea Handler.
This was the last time they did this was like 2019.
Oh,
So
wow.
so it might not have been a Chelsea moment yet, but the point is that means there are
Yeah,
99
for
of them.
sure.
I don't know.
I can
I'm
mention
sure.
one woman.
Right. I mean, I don't know 99 male comic. Like I
No.
looked at the list and I was like, I live in this world, and
Yeah.
who are these guys? And not that they shouldn't be making bank, but like that's crazy.
For sure.
99, like,
99
so
no names are better than top tier women. Come on,
yeah,
that's
or like
bananas.
there are more, so like even yeah. Anyways, and all sorts of, and the sort of the daily stuff, the daily incidental biases are still in place. Women still has had oh my god, I'm the only woman on the lineup again, or which of course supposedly makes it diverse. We all used to hear, I don't think they say this anymore. But we all in the 90s, we'd like talk to a booker or whatever, and he'd be like, oh man, sorry, yeah, I already have a woman on the.
That's it. Sorry. Good night.
Yeah. So can you
Bad.
imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, sorry, I already have a
I
dude on the
can't.
lineup. Can you
I
imagine
can't
someone ever?
imagine. I can't.
So, again, better. It's both a million. It's better in so many ways, and also it's still like, are we seriously really still doing this?
Yeah.
So, if you even just ask AI to make you a picture of a stand-up comic, it's a white dude,
Really, eh?
which is, I mean, surprising no one, but like, come on.
So you decided.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
gonna,
we got into the stats there, but
that's okay. We'll circle back.
but but all to say that is a problem. It is a daily problem for women who want to enter comedy, and that's a problem because comedy is a job. It's a problem because women are people, and so that was my opportunity. That's the opportunity that I saw, that like, of course, women will then, who really want to, will still do the, still, okay, be the only woman in a stand-up class or the only woman on an improv team, which is less and less, to be fair. Or they won't do it,
Yeah.
so either they'll do it and groan and maybe, and hate it and not get the same opportunities, or they'll not do it because, if you're you, Stacey, and you're like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm going to try. I'm going to do this. And you're like, I got to go to some open mics. And then you're like, well, all the open mics are 25-year-old white dudes with hoodies and backpacks who won't talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I mean, even if they're nice, it's just not your, it's
No.
harder. You would find your crew. I mean, they're always there. You can always find your people, but it's still going to be harder.
Sure. Sure. It's
And
more of a challenge. Yeah.
so that's what I was thinking. Well, wouldn't people pay if they could go to a place that they know is, and we're not exclusively women, we can't be, but what we
Sure.
promise is, because first of all, for legal reasons, and also like people define themselves in so many ways, and that's not my business,
For sure.
but what we can promise is no bro vibe.
Right.
And that's what people are always seeking to escape. Like we have we have a program of, I didn't mention this before, we have sketch teams. We have teams making digital sketches like Lonely Island and I Think You Should Leave, who are hilarious. We love them. They're all
And
dudes.
Lonely Island.
Love them.
So
They're all
funny.
dudes.
But they're all white dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't want them to go away. We just
No,
want more.
no, but we want more. I was just listening actually in the car this morning to the podcast Amy Poehler City, and they're literally going back to the beginning of web series and how they started and how they pitched
Yep.
a woman and the executive producer and like how they literally brought that to fruition. But it was like they were the only women. Like it was such a flagship kind of show, which is
Yep.
why it took off the way that it did. Because what other show featured women like that? Women relationships, politics, sexuality,
Yep.
all of those things that there's such a market for.
Yep.
But, like I love Andy Samberg. I love Lonely
Love.
Island.
Love.
But
Right.
and, it's like
Yep.
also but and
Yep.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that city.
yeah. But yeah, so two things about that. One is that like so we have these teams and we just finished
Yeah.
a round of accepting applications for the new season. And someone, and this is not unique, it just stuck out in my head. Uh, Someone said like, I've been on so many sketch teams and they've been really great and really fun, but I'm almost always the only woman, and I'm tired of dick jokes. And like,
Yeah.
which is a little bit reductive and unfair, not of them to say, but like, I'm not saying that the whole world is like that. It's not. But my
No,
point is
but
that still happens. So my other thing is that to the point of things being better is you mentioned, and this is true, obviously, how Broad City came from a web series.
yeah.
And when I say that there's so many more paths and platforms, I'm including web series, which are now so legit that they're called mid-form content.
Oh.
And so the fact that you can, and Gold has done this, we have members who created an insanely hilarious and successful web series called Rat Czar, which is a fictionalized sort of, it's like Parks and Rec meets the fact that there actually is a person in New York City whose job is Rat Czar and her job is rodent mitigation. So it's like that.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing, fictionalized in kind of a Parks and Rec style office comedy. And it was conceived in Gold classes, and they produced it with like a crew of mostly Goldies, and now it's like winning awards. But the point is, like, web series are a great thing to invest in because then you made a thing, but then you have proof of concept for something to grow into something else.
Right.
And we also, okay, so speaking of that, we also, and this is why these avenues, they're still tough, but they're much more, they open the gates wider for different creators to be able to just do something other than know somebody in Hollywood.
Yeah. Right.
And so we have one of our teams a couple years ago created a web series called Late Bloomers. So web series, and which was accessible, and like they made a web series. You can do that.
Yeah.
And each episode is like 5 minutes, but it's a whole concept. It's done. It's about a support group for late bloomers in New York City. And now that is through our partners. Now it's airing on what's called a fast channel, which is like Tubi. It's like, it's free ad supported streaming television. So it's like cable, but streaming. And so now Late Bloomers is airing on Fox Soul, which is one of Fox's fast channels. And that, I mean, it still took work and it had to be a good web series and we had to like pitch it and everything, but so much less cumbersome and hierarchical than going through the usual system.
Yeah.
And notably, the partners that we worked with one of them is a women-owned company that kind of brokers web series for fast channels, and it's Fox Soul, which is their tributary for people of their comedy, not just comedy, a tributary for people of color. And so
Yeah.
so all of this is like so much more accessible and doable, and it's so exciting,
Sure.
in ways that it wasn't before.
It really honestly, the internet has kind of like, even on something like TikTok where that's where a little bit of my success came from. People, they watch stuff, but there are series. I don't know if you're on TikTok at all, but like there's this series right now of Chit, who is freaking hilarious, but it is like web series quality. Like they have produced the show, and he's doing lady, and he's got these like, it will be 100% on something, because it's just the access to everything is so much wider. But that being said, something like your company would really help facilitate like me shooting in my kitchen to them shooting production. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
there is the step between the value of that. And I think I guess that's something that you kind of do is help me get to chit level for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the content studio piece of what we're doing, which we
Yeah.
kind of was
So
in sort of proof of concept.
who is we
Oh yeah,
for?
you're asking. So it kind of came, it sprung out of my head, and I sort of developed the idea for a long time, not by myself, but with, incidental pulling people in, with additional, with the expertise I didn't have. So it's been a group effort for years. But the team we have now is, it's me. I have a co-founder who brings a lot of business development and marketing expertise. Like, she's a Wharton School
Right.
person who worked at Deloitte person who loves comedy. So we fit together perfectly. That's Ami. And then we have Maggie, who's an extremely successful sketch writer and has pilots in development. And she runs our content, like our social and everything else content, and really helps run our sketch teams program. And then we have Christina, our community manager, because we have our whole our social platform, our
Yeah.
headquarters is online. We have Heba and Kelly, who are helping run the Teams program. We have Miranda, who writes our newsletter. And the cool thing is that we're serious about helping people succeed. So if the right person for an incidental job or a job, and to be clear, everyone's freelancing. We're all, we're scrappy,
Right. Yeah.
but when we need someone, we look first to Goldies. Or if it's, whether it's that, like, oh, one of our members also teach improv for us. Or we pulled in Kelly and Heba. The person who created the Teams program is still around, but not as involved in the day to day, because she has now two other jobs. That's what happens when you're a producer who's been nominated for 4 Emmys. You're in demand. So we pulled in the
Two.
wonderful, Kelly and Heba, who were members and also had been on our teams for a couple of years already to help us run the program. So, we do, we look first to our own, and that's part of what we promise, so it's a lot of us.
A group of women, basically strong women who have kind
Yeah.
of the same vision of helping people succeed, mainly women, non-binary people, and then a couple
Yeah.
of guys if they need it.
Yeah. We got some dudes. We have some dudes around. And I think it's great because, again, the promise is no bro vibe, not
Sure.
Sure. And it was actually really sweet. Like, a dude joined the other day because he wanted to take our late night. We have a late night writing class, and he wrote me this really nice note. And he was like, "But I've read all of your about stuff, and I really want to take this class, which is also taught by a dude, actually." And he was like, "But I don't want to intrude. I don't want to. I don't want to be.
Nice.
I don't want to." And I was like, I said to him candidly, first of all, obviously you're not bringing a bro vibe if you're bringing this up, and also, like, I don't want to sound snarky when I say this. I really, really don't. But it's not a bad thing for everyone and anyone to experience being in the minority.
Yeah, no.
Like,
Totally.
for me, it's not a bad thing to experience, like, being the only white person or whatever it is, right?
Totally.
And it's not a bad thing for a dude to kind of adjust
Totally.
whatever he has to adjust to being in a room that's predominantly doesn't look like him,
100%.
so
You can't live in a vacuum. You can't. I
right.
was just saying this the other day. Like, you need to. I think that the biggest disservice people are doing with their children or whatever is you're not traveling. You're not looking outside. If everybody in your community looks and acts and does everything exactly like you, then you're never going to learn. You're never going to grow. So for him to possibly see the opposite side, right? Like, we're in a hetero, cis, male dominated patriarchy all the time.
Are we though? Are we? No, of course. I mean, just on weekdays, right?
Except for my lesbian household, the rest of
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
But
It sounds fabulous. Can I come over?
it wouldn't be too terrible, for somebody to experience something that's not their norm. Totally.
Right.
I think that's super valuable.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going to walk and talk while I close the door. Okay, listeners, don't get dizzy.
If you're just listening, you're good. We're getting a tour.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
in the background.
Here's my.
That's weird. No.
Here's our house in the middle of being painted. It's going to be great. Okay, I'm back.
In New York.
Yes.
I don't know anything about the States very much. I know New York. We went to travel. My wife's a tattoo artist, and we traveled to New York, and she did a guest spot. So I was in like New York.
Yeah.
But outside of it, I feel like it looks a lot like Ontario, to be honest. When I was driving through Albany, I was like, oh, this is very similar.
Totally. Upstate. upstate and it's there. Yeah, I
It's
totally
an
see that.
invisible line. But we went to actually, when we were there, we got tickets to Comedy Central. Or no,
Great.
sorry, Cellar, Comedy Cellar.
The Comedy Cellar
Is that,
from the
oh, okay,
club.
the Comedy
Yeah,
Cellar, where you have to
that's
like
great.
line up and get tickets. Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody graciously gave us a couple of tickets, and I didn't know what it was. And you don't find out who the headliner is until you're
No,
there.
right.
And Michael Che was the headliner that
Oh,
night,
fun.
actually, which was super fun. But to your point, they have an opener and then an opener and then an opener and then an opener and then the headliner. Every single one of them was men.
Really?
The
Well,
lineup
yeah.
was men, right? So I can definitely see how this dominated field would be daunting to walk into.
I didn't want to name names, but since you did, and like, let me just stipulate that like some of my best friends, work at the Cellar. We love the Cellar
Sure.
has been instrumental in
It was very
many
funny.
careers of many women. Yeah,
It was a great night.
but usually I don't mention the names, and I shouldn't because they're not unique in this. But recently, the woman I mentioned, who is a gold member and also an improv teacher, lives in Louisville, was visiting New York. We were like, okay, Benita, what shows are you going to see? We're like, well, let's see what's happening at the Cellar because the Cellar's great, So we look at the
Totally.
Cellar and we look at the lineup, and they have several rooms, so there were like 6 shows that night, even though it was a Sunday. And we're like, scroll, 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 and every show had one woman. And I'm like, for God's sake, Comedy Cellar, like for lack of women, like it's just lazy. And listeners, I don't mean to single out the Comedy Cellar. It's only because Stacey mentioned it.
For sure.
Go to the Comedy Cellar, have fun, but on your way out, be like, "Oh, that was so. Hey, I had a great show. Next time, I'd love to see like how weird would it be to have a show that's predominantly women, or not, at least not dudes, or whatever it is,
Totally. I can
Give them the feedback. Give them the feedback.
A city like
go have
New
a great
York,
time.
I would imagine there are many, many hilarious women in that metropolis.
Yes, we're not hard to find.
No,
and qualified to work the Cellar, qualified to be on Michael Che's show and all that stuff.
Right?
So like, what the hell,
Yeah, for sure.
It's just bizarre to me. It's just bizarre. It's like we live in a world, how there can still be all male panels. I still don't know. Like, it's not only comedy also, like, to be fair, also, it's not only the Cellar for sure. It's not, and it's not, obviously, it's not only comedy, but
you're absolutely right.
But like, it's just not that hard. Like I walked past you know how, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they were like, well, someone asked her one time, like, well, how many women do you think should be on the Supreme Court? And she was like 7, like, I mean, what, it's like not weird that it's all dudes. So how could it, and so I remember I walked past a billboard, Hulu has started getting into the stand-up content. And I walked past a billboard in the subway that I think was all women and very diverse. There was like 5 columns of their like stand-up lineup, and the billboard, it was maybe one dude, I can't remember, whatever, it was mostly women, and the billboard didn't say diversity comedy or inclusive comedy or women's comedy or whatever. It was just like comedy on Hulu, and I was like, hell yeah, Hulu, that is exactly what because they weren't making a thing, it was just, these are the comedians.
Totally.
And
it's so
I was thrilled.
Like, it's such a deep
that hard
concept of kind of like the idea of representation matters, but like, it's not even, the problem is, and I speak from my own experience, I was married to a man and then now I'm married to a woman. And when I was married to a man, my life was reflected to me. So I thought nothing of it, right? Every TV show, every couple, every commercial was hetero couples, white couples most of the time. And it wasn't until I started dating a woman, I was in the queer scene, whatever, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is there is zero representation, there are 0 people of color. Like, it's kind of like you're not even aware it's the frog in the water, like you're boiling, you don't even notice because you are reflected to you, right? And it takes something like a billboard like that to just make it the norm. Like, you don't have to. And that's the thing too. Like, I love when kids shows, I put up a call a while ago, like when my son, he's 7 now, but when he was little, I was like, you know what I need? I need a children's book that has a gay couple that is not the main story. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want it to be mommy and mama. I have a million of those books. I just want the best friend's parents to be gay. Make it the norm, make it just like, so nobody thinks anything of it. And they have one, the Loud House now, actually, his best friend's dads are 2 dads. Amazing. And we don't talk about it. It's not that they're like gay, it doesn't have to be women in comedy. They're just comedians, and it's so powerful, something so simple like that.
Yeah. And, and it's so true. And, that brings to mind what we're seeing now and really starting to see with trans representation, that there are more and more characters, trans characters whose character is not about being trans. They just are. I'm thinking of like Patty Harrison's character on Shrill, or like literally anything Patty Harrison does, basically, when we're, and it's not that that's not part of their identity. It's just not the whole thing. There's just because trans people live among us, like we live among trans people, like, so, that kind of normalizing is, again, this is on the side of things are amazing,
Yeah.
as opposed to things are terrible. And that's a whole thing. There's lots of fantastic trans stand-ups, and yeah.
Yeah. It's just making it the norm, right? Giving access to these spaces and kind of making it the norm.
Yep.
Okay, so let's take me for example, or anybody out there. So I am interested in comedy. I love comedy. I dabble in comedy. I have an idea in my head where I'm like, I think I could write a show. I'd like to do I don't know where to start. I have notes in my iPhone, the end. So I would approach you, or I would
Yes.
apply, or how
the only things that we have that require applying are our sketch teams.
Okay.
And our and a new program a curriculum sort of that we're introducing. You heard it here. Called Sketchpad, which is designed to act. It's an incubator is the wrong word. We have to find the right name for it. It's a program. It's asynchronous, but it's a program that you follow to get a fully rounded education in sketch comedy, whether it's writing, acting, producing, lighting, sound, all those, how to do a live show, etc. And that has an extremely low barrier to participation, but you need to have written something sketch-ish. So that's
something like you're thinking like the goal would be SNL or Groundlings or something like.
Yeah, if you want to do sketch, exactly.
Right.
Or if you want to be like a director, but comedy, if you want to be that kind of thing. So, or an editor, but comedy, those are specific subsets of those skills. But that's sort of, I don't mean to distract or complicate. That's not really the basic thing we do is you show up and give us the money. And for you in particular, this is very specific and it's going to sound very advertorial, but it's literally what you were just asking about. We have a premium class that runs, and by that it's priced separately, but you still get all the other stuff that I talked about.
Yeah.
It's a premium class taught by, speaking of Broad City, Ryan Elizabeth Cunningham, who was a producer on Broad City, also Search Party, Inside Amy Schumer. The list goes, a huge list.
Right.
Of both, she does TV, film, and your idea could be for TV, film, stage, or podcast, whatever, web series, whatever. And her class walks you through in 12 weeks, walks you through every step you need to develop your idea in the way that it needs to be developed, to flesh it out and capture it in an industry standard pitch, polished, practiced, ready to go. Because the last class, you pitch it and it's practice, but it's officially practice. Like they're not there to not greenlight your work or not. But the last class, someone said, I'm going to tell Chris Gethard about your show. I think you'd really like it. Like, so it happens, you know what I mean? Like, and that's happening. So they're very connected. It's just not a formal pitch. But a lot of those pitches do wind up in development. They can wind up in development with Ryan, or a lot of them go on to win festivals and awards. And several pitches from that class have evolved into pilots and shows that are now in development. Wow. And what's the magic of that class, and Ryan says this too, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, is that a lot of people who take it are like you, who are like, okay, I have a little time. I got this idea I can't shake. I know some stuff about this, but I have no idea how to do, like, what I do, exactly where you are.
Like, where do you stand? Right.
Yeah. And she loves to teach. She used to teach it to college students. It's a college level class, and she loved that. But what she especially loves about this kind of new flavor of cohort is that, like, it's women and people who have like lived a little bit, who have more life to choose from for their stories, even whether or not it's autobiographical or totally fictional. They still have so much more stuff to draw on to bring to these rich, deep stories. And she loves that. It's very exciting. And people get to take this class very seriously, so I know for a fact, and I've taken it. And people take it if they have a pilot written. Sometimes but they wind up revising their pilot in the process of going through this, literal, ideation. Yeah. And then a lot of times people are like, well, how do I pitch it if I don't have a pilot? Right. And like when I did it without having a pilot, the point is now I have the perfect outline or framework, I should say, for the pilot that I now need to write.
The pilot, right?
Or to write the pilot. I got to write the pilot.
But the point is,
but this process makes you develop the theme, the characters, the arc of the first season, the why now, the why you,
Yeah.
the like, it makes you do all that stuff, which you've got to do anyway to write the pilot. And then you finish writing the pilot and you're like, oh, holy shit, I already have the pitch. This is amazing. So that's like honestly, that's the class for you. And it's starting on August 4th, which is now going to be out of date when the podcast airs. But I'm telling you now.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. So
Mhm.
if I am, not me, but I'm just me and I'm
Yeah.
interested in comedy, do I kind of, so walk me through the website. I would go to your website and then it's like, what classes do I choose from? Is that how it goes? Like, is it like,
You can.
I'm
Yeah.
interested in stand up. I'm interested in,
It doesn't matter. You just join.
oh, okay.
And I mean, sometimes people join because they happen to know a certain class that interests them is
Okay.
starting on a certain date, and that might make them join on that date.
Right.
So, like, we had a bunch of new people starting our late night class recently, which is a new class because they wanted to take that class, but they know that, yes, that's my entry point, but what I'm joining is this whole ecosystem with all the other things. And
Right.
some people are like, head down, I'm doing sketch. That's who I am.
Sure.
And some people are like, I'm just a performer, so I
Yeah.
want to learn, but I also want to learn how to be a better writer. So I'm going to mostly do some stand-up stuff, but I'm going to take your web series class, whatever. Like, you can pick and choose and just pick the path. Either it's a path that you figured out for yourself or you're curious,
Yeah.
like, because it's all included. So might as well give it a whirl.
Yeah.
We have people taking stand up, even who don't want to be stand ups, which, like, in fact, we recommend that everyone either take or even start with our stand up boot camp class, because it really teaches you the basics of joke mechanics and gives you a little insight into your comedy persona, which is really just you. Spoiler.
Just
And
entertain your family at dinner though. Check
yeah,
that
exactly. Well, yeah. Then you look at that. Like, you really, that is one of the exercises, kind of like, when you're making people laugh, what are you doing? And,
Yeah. My kids would die. They're so sick of my shit.
yeah, well, that's another reason people join, to have a new audience, because of, yeah,
All the
exactly.
time. I have an almost 17-year-old. I'm like, do you know that people pay me because I'm funny? And he's like, no, not me. And I'm like, it's true, pal. I'm
Yeah, it's true.
hilarious.
Yeah, you
Nothing.
get this for free.
My hardest
It's a good
audience is
deal.
my kids. They don't give a
Totally.
shit.
Fair enough. Well, then it's, that's good practice for you.
It's true.
Tough crowd.
Always.
But yeah, but you just you basically you find our website through
Yep.
goldcomedy.com and you click start my free trial,
Yep.
and you're in.
Do you teach any of the classes?
I used to, mostly not, but sometimes I pop in to, like, sub for a stand up or storytelling class, but I mostly not. I have taught a lot of comedy writing and storytelling, stand up.
All the
That's
things. Are you
that's what I know
working on
about.
anything right now?
I do really gotta write the pilot that I that I developed a pitch for, which is a new pilot based on Breakup Girl, the cartoon character I
Oh, yeah.
mentioned before. Partly it's a scheduling thing. I just got to find time with my writing partner, and I pointed over there because he actually lives right there.
Convenient.
And that's my thing, that's like the thing that I got to get to that. In fact,
Right.
I almost took the finish your pilot in 5 weeks class myself, just to do it, but I realized I was going to be away a bunch of the time, so
And
it
that's
didn't make
writing
sense.
it. The finish your pilot in 5 weeks is.
Finish your pilot is just like, vomit it out, girl.
Yeah.
Like, just get it done. And how to,
That's
and
life though, eh? Like,
yeah,
just get I think that all the time when I'm writing shitty things or recipes, I'm like, just get it out and then you edit, then you go
yep,
back, then you tweak.
yep,
But
yep,
that's why you have your community, right? To kind of help you tweak and
yes, yep.
fresh eyes. What I think is hilarious, they're like, this is not as hilarious as you think.
Yeah, and also, like, you do need someone to make sure, and the internet can do this, but not as well as a human,
Yeah.
to tell you what are the conventions of a pilot.
Right.
Well, first of all, is it half hour? Is it hour? Is it episodic? Is it lightly serialized? Is it, you have to, there's no point in writing it unless it follows the conventions of the layout, of the formatting. Like,
So
you have to, and like, chat, AI can tell you some of that, of course. It's a class that's going to give you the accountability and the
definitely. A friend of
community
mine
and the structure.
she wrote a Hallmark movie and she sent it to me to
Yep.
read it. And I was like, oh, this is a completely different like scripts are
Yep.
they're all so different.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Hallmark movies especially have they have their own conventions, but
Formula.
Hallmark specifically has its own formulas, and Hallmark has its own formulas for its Christmas movies. And, like, you just got to, like, sorry, but you got to know them. So, and that's why taking this pitching class also is very helpful to people, because not all pitches will come out in, like, the exact same order. It's like pitch decks for companies. Like, everyone will be like, this is the way you have to do it. It has to be, the first slide is this. And, like, some of that is fungible, and the same thing is true with these pitches, but they still all have the same ingredients.
Right.
And they still require the same the same kind of stuff that they must communicate, which is communicating that you are also not just the person to do it, but someone that they would want to work with
Right.
and
Right.
stuff like that, which you can't, like someone's got to tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
And you
and you got
can't
to
fake
figure
that.
out how to do that. How do you convey that? You can't like, there's not like a list of things to check in order to
Yeah.
convey your delightfulness.
Yeah,
So,
that's
you have
valid.
to figure that out with feedback in a class.
Oh, that's so
So,
exciting.
yeah, it's good stuff.
So tell me where they can find you. Where can all the people, because they're all going to want to be comedians, everybody
Yes.
listening,
And
where do they go?
everyone can. And you don't have to be a different person in order to be a comedian. You don't have to be more confident or less shy or whatever. Even just to bring some comedy into your world, you can be exactly who you are.
Yeah, you
Um,
should be probably.
exactly. Authenticity. It's not just a buzzword. Anyway, goldcomedy.com is our website that will take you to places you can learn more about joining, and Instagram at Gold Comedy. And I recommend two things. If you come to our website, join our mailing list. We'll make sure that you are the first to know about everything. And then if you DM me at Gold Comedy or at Lynn Harris and say you heard me on this show, I'll find a way to, depending on what you want to do, we'll give you a 10% discount on
Oh,
whatever it is. We'll
guys,
figure out, whether it's membership or a
look
premium
at that.
cost, we'll figure it out.
Amazing. I'll put that in the show notes for everybody so they can
Yeah.
do that. Lynn, thank you so much. I was not, to
Thank
be
you.
honest, kind of sure what we were going to talk about, but I am so
Wasn't a problem.
delightfully surprised, because this is like, I feel like this was for me. This was literally the universe being like, Stacey, write your hilarious pilot.
I'll send you the information about the class as soon as we're done.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lynn, for
Thank
being
you for
on
having
this
me.
week's episode of I Wish I Knew About. Now you know. Everybody go to that website and check it all out and follow them everywhere. I'm going to join the mailing list. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Lynn.